What is up, YouTube? Matt Price back with Chrome Donkey for another JT Mod Sunday. So essentially what we're doing today, I've had these in the garage for probably a month now, and quite honestly I just got tired of waiting on the matching front set, so I'm going to go ahead and install the rear. So what am I talking about? This is the DV8 rear inner fender liners. So you can see I've got them taken out. There's actually, each side is a two-part setup. You've got the little piece here, there's actually two of those in there, the little hardware kit, and then the main inner fender liner. The small piece attaches to the big piece and then goes in. And this is the box that they came in, and I tell you what, this is some very unusual packaging. It almost looks like that expander stuff that you would use to fill cracks and do insulation work, because it was custom molded, mixed in with styrofoam bits. Like you can see here, like styrofoam and this stuff kind of all mixed together. So interesting way to package it, but it worked out great. I mean, it was super secure, definitely wasn't getting bent in shipping. And yeah, so as far as doing the installation, we'll see how easy it is. It looks relatively straightforward. Yeah, famous last words, right? Relatively easy. But essentially, I've already taken out those three bolts. So you got one back there, one in the center, and one over here. And then to continue this project, you'll have to pop out all these little, so like this guy here, you've got one right down here, there's one right up here, you've got one kind of in this little notch, and it looks like the only other one I see is right there. And I may run across more of these, but essentially once you pop those out, this piece will more than likely stay on. I'm gonna have to see, because the inner fender just pops out from these, so that'll push out with just pins. So time will tell whether or not this piece will stay. I think it will, but we'll see. And then the inner fender liner comes out and the new ones go in. So we'll see how the installation goes. Stay tuned. Okay, so far so good. This was actually real easy. And these pieces that I was telling you guys about, I'll try to get some video of me doing this on the other side. Yeah, but these little guys, literally when you get ready to take the inner fender liner off, you just start down here at the bottom and you take it and just push it in, and those literally just pop right off. So that's easy. So now let's see how easy it goes on. Okay guys, real quick update. I wanted to share this with you in case any of you have tried to install these DV8 rear inner fender liners, something that I came across. So this is it, just kind of hanging out on the tire. So up front, you know, you've got everything, wire and harnesses and everything. You've got these three bolt clips there. One of the things that I've found is this particular bracket right here. Okay, so this has been inverted. So I literally took those two bolts out from the frame rail, flipped this bracket upside down so it kind of droops a little low, and it's still completely, you know, it's not interfering with anything. You got the muffler pipe, you know, the exhaust pipe, so it's even below that. But what that little bracket is for, at least from what I can gather, is these two little wiring harnesses, these connectors, literally were just clipped into there, just kind of holding them in place. But I mean, good Lord, where are they gonna go, right? So probably what I'm gonna do is this one that's a maybe a little bit less secure because it's thinner. I'm probably, before I put this on, I'll probably zip tie it to this guy, making a nice firm connection. But the problem is with this bracket in its OEM upright position, this fender will not fit. So you can see some of the scuff marks on the, you know, the back side of this liner where it was literally hitting this bracket. So I mean, please feel free to comment, you know, below if I'm missing something obvious. But with that thing in the normal position, you know, again, you have to picture it was up here sticking out just to secure these. This simply will not install. So very interesting. So I had to do a little custom mod, but now it's going to go on just fine. Okay guys, one more check-in step just to give you guys something that I've also discovered, because unless I missed it in the box, there's not really any instructions, so that's always fun, right? Sorry DV8 if you included them, but I'm not digging through all that packaging material. It's gonna make a disaster mess in the driveway. So they were not in the included hardware box, which is where they should be. So I'm kind of learning this as I go. So let me show you guys something first. So if I look at the included hardware, okay, there were 8 of this relatively long bolt, maybe an inch long, with washers to match, and of course nuts to match. There were 10 of these much shorter bolts with also nuts to match, but no washers. So if you look at the holes, obviously the shorter ones are where you connect up the 2 pieces of the fender, and that's easily discovered on the internet just by googling some pictures. That's what connects this piece to that piece. Okay, so where do these other 8 bolts go? Again, it's a big mystery because there's no other holes in these fenders other than 2. Now if you look at this one that's off, so keep in mind these holes don't count because this is where that other piece attaches to this piece. So you have this one and you have this one. So that's 4, unless they include 4 extra bolts just in case you lose some. Again, seems a little odd on the hardware packaging, but here's what I found. And maybe this will be a pro tip for you guys to make this installation easier. First and foremost, if you're doing this with OEM fenders, which is what I've got, so these are painted to match fenders. It's got this little piece of plastic that's attached to the fender. I'm not going to remove that piece because it looks like that's literally the whole support for the actual fender itself. You may be able to cut it, which I may do in the future, just to give me some more clearance, but that's going to be a real touchy job because you'd have to cut literally just perfectly, right along that edge, or else you would make a big mess. And frankly, I just don't know if my rear tires will rub. I mean, they might. I mean, obviously the sway bar does not disconnect in the rear, so it'll be something I'll have to test on the trail. If I'm getting a lot of rubbing, just trying to kind of look at this as we look, kind of getting my head in here, there are some tabs right there, but I believe that's where the painted piece connects to the fender support, which does include these little flare outs. So I mean, it would be possible to cut, but the problem is if you cut off those tabs, then the painted fender's gonna have nowhere to go. So anyway, another project for another day. Back to the fender liners. Let me show you what I found that'll help you guys out. So first and foremost, to kind of get it sort of semi-secured up in place, go ahead and reinstall the 3 OEM bolts that you pulled out originally, and that'll just kind of let it hang out in place. Now you can see at the rear, you will need to remove the plastic piece that comes right here. And if you look, you can see those all throughout. So, here's one right here, kind of dark under here, but that's one of the plastic pieces that secures, and you'll see these all underneath the Jeep, right? So you just have to remove the rear, just this one, okay? That'll give you a little bit of separation there, and you can see where that hole is gonna eventually line up. Now, the tough one though, there's that little hole, right? So how are you going to get back here? So the idea is you disconnect all this and gives you a little bit more wiggle room to get a socket back there, because you're going to have to take the bolt head and go up through, have something on the back to tighten this front piece, and then once that's tightened, you can finish the rest of the job. So it may be as such where I pull out these 3 just to get that front one tightened up and work my way from the front to the back. So hang tight, let's see what happens. Okay guys, one side is completely done at this point. So just like I told you, I did have to remove those 3 bolts that run along the side, or the middle I should say, as well as the rear bolt. So this guy had to come out, this one, and this one all had to come out. And then literally, if you take this thing, you can't be afraid to bend it, because it's aluminum, I believe, and it's easy to kind of ply, and you literally have to pop it out and let it kind of sit at an angle and get this guy good and secured. So this The good thing is about those nuts is they'll grab onto the steel of the frame, so you don't have to get a socket back there. You can just hold it with your finger and get this tight, get it started, and it'll grab, so it makes it really easy to get tight. So this one's good and tight, and then you literally just work your way back. Get those lined up, and then finally give it a little good old elbow grease to get that one lined up, tighten them down, and boom, done. Really easy. Now, one of the things that I do like is I think when and if I get ready to do new fenders, if I decide to do that, I don't think these will have to come off. I could be wrong. You may have to take them off at the top to get behind this, you know, to put like a nut or something back there. It's very possible, but it's not hard. These are not hard to take on and off. So there you go. There's the inner fender liners. Definitely look better than the old plastic of OEM. Love how the red shines through on DV8 to match the Jeep. Now let's go knock out the other side and call this a wrap.